Hello all, welcome to TechTrapture. So in this video, we are going to deep dive into a very trending topic in a AI space, that is a Google Agent Development Kit, which is also known as a Google ADK. So if you are following the AI space, if you are following the latest AI news, by this time you would be aware this is not only the time where AI is assisting you in your task, but this is very high time where AI is doing your all the task. Okay, so this might sound weird, okay, but this is the fact. Currently the time of agentic AI, where agents or multi-agents are doing all your day-to-day activities, or these are capable of doing your day-to-day activities. Let's assume one example. Okay, so currently we all are using LLM. So these LLMs might be a OpenAI chat GPT, it can be Meta's model or Google Gemini or Anthropic's model. So all these LLMs we are using, but let's take an example. If I ask today a LLM that book a dinner reservation for me at a nearby restaurant during my free time, so LLM can help me to get, let's say, the list of restaurants, or it might help me to get the famous restaurants in the cities, but it still doesn't give me the real-time data that okay, what are the nearest restaurants which are currently available. So LLM is not capable of doing this task completely, because it does not know what are my nearby restaurant without knowing my location. Similarly, it doesn't know my free time, because I'm not giving any access to LLM. It doesn't know at what time my meetings are, it doesn't know at what time I'm available. So LLM is still not fully capable of booking a complete reservation, because still it doesn't know which booking system to use. There are multiple booking system, there are multiple payment system, but LLMs are not capable of handling end-to-end everything. It can still generate some data, it can still suggest you some idea, but when it comes to do whole a task, let's say getting the nearby restaurants, checking which restaurants is available, and then reserve the table for your dinner, so these LLMs are not capable to do this task by alone. So that's how the agents are comes into the picture. Let's assume if I give LLM access to my Google Maps, and I ask LLM about my free time using my Google Calendar, and also I give one example I have given here. I give access to the external sites like Zomato, and now I ask LLM, okay, first check what are the nearby restaurant considering my locations, then check my Google Calendar, and then decide my free time, and now check the Zomato or any booking site and check which are the available options for a nearby restaurant, and then do a reservation for me. Now LLM is capable because we have provided some external data sources, we have provided some external APIs, we have provided some external systems. Now this whole flow comes under a agentic AI, and we call it as a whole agent. But when we talk about such agents, there are a lot of complications. Okay, we have to take care of model, which model to use, we have to do a configuration for external sources, we have to do a whole orchestration. First it should get the nearby locations from the Google Map, and then it will go back to LLM, then it should consider my available time using my Google Calendar, and then it will just store that data as well, and using the nearest location and my available time, then it should go to the booking site, it can be any site, and then it will do a reservation for me. So this whole orchestration is also required. So for that I need a lot of coding for the front end, for the back end, then I need to manage all the user sessions, I need to store all the chat history, and I have to deploy that model also, so user can use that model or they can use as this whole agents. So how we can manage all these things? So here a Google ADK comes into the picture, which is a super amazing thing, like provided by Google. They have developed very amazing things, and this is known as a agent development kit, where you will get all these things into a single open source framework, that is a ADK. Now here it is not mandatory that you should use only a Google Gemini. You can use a OpenAI LLM, you can use any open source LLM. Also it is not mandatory that you should deploy your model on a Google Cloud only. You can just containerize your model and you can deploy it anywhere you want. So this is completely model agnostic, deployment agnostic. It is an open source framework which is available for free. Okay, so that's why it is very important to understand and learn a Google ADK. So in this video we are going to discuss a very basic introduction of Google ADK, and then we'll start developing our very first agent using a Google Agent Development Kit. Now let's quickly see what is ADK, with a small introduction of ADK. Okay, so ADK is a flexible modular open source framework which is used to develop and deploy AI agent. So special thing about ADK that even though it is optimized for Google Gemini and Google ecosystem, it provides a easy integration with the Google ecosystem, but you can use other LLMs as well along with the ADK. You can deploy ADK on other clouds as well, because it is completely a model agnostic, it is completely a deployment agnostic, and it is built for compatibility with other frameworks as well. Okay, so that is the special thing about Google ADK, and which is gaining a lot of popularity because of this agnostic nature. Okay, so one more thing, just have the quick overview of all the components of ADK. So we'll not go in detail because we'll perform a hands-on, and doing the hands-on while creating our first agent, we will see all these components with our demo. Okay, so basically a user submits a query or any prompt to the agent, then agent runtime invoke whole orchestrations, then model is there which is a LLM model. It can be a Google Gemini or OpenAI's models you can use, and there are tools which are external system. Just like in our previous slide we saw, we can connect to the external sites, we can connect to external database, you can connect to external function, you can execute piece of code, or you can connect to external APIs, and these all are called as a tool. So we will create our first agent in this video, and we use a basic tools as well, and we'll understand what are the tools in agent. And you can see the orchestrations layer, which is kind of work as orchestrations, which have the memory, which is having the sessions, your instruction, just nothing but the prompts. So all these things will be a part of the ADK. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll just try to create our first agent from the scratch, from just installing our first ADK library till running our agent. So we'll first create agent, then we'll see how we can start our agent, how we can run our agent, what are the different options to run our agent. All these things we are going to see in this video along with the hands-on demo. You can see I am in my VS Code, and I have created one ADK demo folder, and in this we are going to start creating our very first agent from the scratch. Okay, so first we need to install ADK libraries, Python ADK libraries or modules. So let's first check if we are having Google ADK module available. I'll just check with this command pip show Google ADK. If it is available, I won't install. If it is not, then I will install it. So it is not available. So if you are using for first time, it will ask you to install this module, and it will take some time because along with this it installs some dependencies if these are not already available in your system. So it will take a few seconds to install a Google ADK. Okay, so it is installed. Now start with the directory structure. So first create one folder, so I can call it as my first agent. Okay, and within this folder we need at least two files. One is your agent.py, which is your main file, act as a main file, and then there is one more file we need, that is init.py, which will act as like it will make your whole directory as a Python package. So here you will just do a from.import agent. That simple line you will write, nothing else you will write into this file, and this agent will start importing your ADK library. So first I will just import from Google ADK agents import agent. Okay, that is the simple import statement I am writing, and that is sufficient for my first agent. Okay, so I'll just start creating my root agent. So in your ADK there is always a root agent or base agent. Okay, and now you have to pass some parameter. Now which parameter you need here in a root agent. Okay, so I will show you some documentation which will help you to understand which all parameters are available and which are required, which are mandatory, and which are optional. Okay, so let me just go to some documentation page. See this documentation in which defining the agent's identity and purpose. So name is required, description is optional but recommended, model is required. Now what models are available, so you can simply go to the model list. Okay, so it will tell you what models are available. So you can use a Gemini model, or you can use, so these are the Gemini model you can use, or you can use, let's say, OpenAI models, or you can use Anthropic models as well. But let's talk about Gemini model. So let's say I want to use a Gemini model, so I will choose a model from the list which is the latest, or based on our use case we will choose a Gemini model. See, this is the list of models. Okay, so from this list I will, let's choose a 2.0 flash. Okay, so let's go back here. So name is required, description is optional, model is required. So I will just give name. So let's say I will give my first agent, and then I will give the model is required, so I will just give model, and I have copied the Gemini model name. Then the description, so example agent, I'll just change the description that will answer user query related to a Google Cloud. I'm just creating the simple agent, okay, which will answer users to the Google Cloud queries. Okay, so this is description. Then instruction, so this is the important thing. So instruction is nothing but your prompt. Okay, so you have to give a prompt here. So let's say I'll give the prompt, your AI assistant that helps user with the Google Cloud related queries. Okay, so that's it. I have created a very basic agent just with the 9 lines of code, and I'll try to run it now. Okay, so there are multiple ways to run your model. I'll just start with the basic one, where you can have the web UI, which is a dev web UI, and you can check all the response, trace, session details, flow of the models. You can check everything. Okay, that is just for the dev purpose. So you can just use ADK web, and it will will just open a agent for you. And now you can see application started on which my agent is available. So let's just go to the link, and this is the dev UI. As I mentioned, here in the drop down you currently see only one agent, as we created only one agent. Let's try to see. So it will definitely give an error because we missed one step, but let me just show you. I'll just try to interact with model with hello, and let's see, missing a key input augment to use a Google AI API, because now you can see here is also we got an error. So why this error? Because we decided to use a Google Gemini model, but we are not authenticating with the Google Gemini. Okay, so there are two options to authenticate. Either if you are using a local, you can just use your default application credentials, or you can use a Google API key. So for that you need a .env file. So I'll create a .env file, and in your .env you can create a variable here. Okay, so you need a two variables here. First is like Google Gen AI use Vertex AI. So if is equal to true or false, you have to set up. So let's say if it is true, then you can use a Google application default credentials. But let's say if you are using API key, then you can put your API key here. So I will show you both the option. First I will start with the Google Gen AI use Vertex AI true. It means it will use Vertex AI and it will use my credentials. So before that we will make it false, and I will show you with the API key. So how to create this API keys? So go to Google AI Studio. Okay, and here you can generate your key. Okay, so you can go to get key here, get API key here. You can create API key and you can select a project from the drop down if you already having. If not, then create a project. So let's say I have one project, so I will select this lab project and I will create API key. Okay, so I'll copy this API key and I will paste it here. Okay, so I pasted key. Now I made this false, and let's just start our agent again. So I'll just start it again and I will create a new session once it is started. Okay, so it is started. Let's just open again, and this time let's see the response. If it still give the error, at least it is generating something. Yes, we got a response. So we got response that hello, how can I help you with the Google Cloud today? Because we given the instruction that you are an agent, you are a AI assistant that helps user with the Google Cloud related queries. Okay, so all your response is based on your instructions. So let me just give the instruction. First ask a user a name and start conversation by greeting user with name. Okay, so now I changed my instruction a little bit, and let's see the response again from my agent. Okay, agent started. Let me just open a new link. So I am opening new link because I want to show the comparison when I change the prompt now, how the response should be. I'll just ask the same message hello. Now it should ask for a name. So I'm AI assistant that helps users with the Google Cloud related queries. To start, can you tell me your name? So let's say I'll tell my name. Now it will greet me and then ask for a questions. Nice to meet you, and help you with the Google Cloud related queries. Now it is having generative capabilities. Let's say I'll ask, right, help me to understand what is Vertex AI. Okay, I'm just asking some question based on generative capability. So I'm asking question purposefully related to Google Cloud. Let's say if you have added in the prompt that do not answer any query related to AWS or Azure or apart from Google Cloud, it will not answer. So currently it give me an answer. Okay, and if you click on this agent, it will show you the flow. So currently there is only one LLM agent which is giving your answers. So we do not have any tools attached. So what is tools? As I mentioned, the external system which we can attach. So let's add one tool. Okay, so how to add a tool? So it is super easy, just go. So there are multiple types of tools. We will see a tools in details, but let's say I'll just start with a first Google search tool. Okay, so now your Gemini was not having a search capability. It is just the generative capabilities. It does not have access to the real-time Google search data, but now we added this as a tool. We have to also import this. From Google ADK tools, import Google search. Okay, and this Google search we used here. So let's try to search, let's try to reload the model and see the response. Okay, so now I will just change the prompt. Your example agent that will answer query based on Google search. Okay, with Google Cloud related queries based on Google search results. Okay, so now it will give me the answer, but it will just use a Google search instead of using a generative capabilities only. So let's start again. So this is the tools which is external, and these are inbuilt tools, so you don't need to write any additional code to use a Google search here. So there are multiple types of tool. We will have a separate videos on different types of tools. You can just integrate with your search application. You can just also integrate with your LangChain. So there are multiple inbuilt tools, multiple third-party tools, or you can write your custom tools as well. So we will have the whole detailed sessions on using tools along with your ADK. Okay, let's go to the link. Now I will show you the response. I'll just ask now what is Vertex AI. Okay, so it failed. Let's see what is an error or any issue. Okay, there is an issue. What issue it got, what error it got. So here it got some error. Okay, so this should not be in the double quote, so it's my mistake. Let me just run again. Okay, let's try it again. I'll just now ask what is Vertex AI. It should give me the Google search result now instead of just giving the random generative answers. And I will show you the flow as well. It should call to the Google search tool. Yeah, you can see. So if I click here, you see it use a Google search, and from Google search it got an answer. So I'll show you the trace as well. So let's go to the trace. Let's say this is my invocation, what is Vertex AI, and I invoke this agent. This agent go to the LLM call, and it used a Google Cloud tool, inbuilt tool, Google search tool, and it got me a response from the Google. You can see these Google search icons here. Okay, so hope you got how we can use tools here. Now one more important thing, let's say I want to use something else in the tools. So how we can use that? Let's say now I'll just write some function, like let's something morning greet. Okay, and one function I will write, let's say evening greet. Okay, and now I will just write and for morning I'll just write my mood is amazing, and for evening I'll write, let's say my mood is bit low. Okay, something like that. So now I am having a two function here, and I want to use that two functions as a tool. So how I can use that? So let's say I will use one as evening greet, morning greet and Google search. So I don't want a Google search. Yeah, so now I will put a prompt. First ask user name and start conversation by greeting based on users greet. Okay, I'll just write if user says good morning, use evening greet tool. If user say good evening, use evening greet tool. If user say good morning, use a morning greet. Now my LLM agent is intelligent enough. Based on user response, it will decide if I should return response from here or I should return response from here. Okay, let's try it out. Now I am using the custom function. Okay, so you can put any code here, and based on the user input it will execute your code. Let's open this link. Now it is not a Google search, it is just, let's say, hello, good morning. Okay, so let's say the response should be my mood is amazing, because it will call that function based on my response. First it is asking name, so let's say my name is Vishal. Now it should respond with whatever there in the tool. Okay, now it went to the morning greet function and it is giving me the response, my mood is amazing. So how we can check the trace? So you can see now we got response from the morning greet based on our good morning. Now let's start a new sessions. Okay, and now I will start with hello, good evening. So it intelligently understand which function to call, which tool to call. Okay, now you can see good evening user, my mood is bit low, how I can assist today. So whatever we are given in this function, it is calling from there. So let's check the trace. So you can see first agent invocation happen, then agent go to the invocation happen, then my query goes to the LLM, then call LLM will execute a tool event. Which tool event? Which is the evening tool. Okay, so this tool event, and from this tool it got the response, and response came back to the LLM. So same, let's say I'll click here. You can see this is the response I got. The response is coming from evening greet. Okay, so the first call went to the evening greet executed, and you can see the call came back to the here. So based on your input it will decide which function to execute. Now this is just small introduction of tools also I have given, and how to execute or how to start our agent, the small introduction we had. Now let's check another method to start your agent. Earlier we were looking with the web UI. Now I will start with the terminal based access. Okay, so the same agent we will now run ADK run my first agent. So this is the folder name you have to give in which your agent.py file is available. So this will be a UI based, this will be a terminal based request response instead of the UI based. But here you will mostly see only the what we can say request and response, and not other things which were available in your web UI. Okay, now you can see I'll just start with hello, good morning, my name is Vishal. Let's see the response from model agent. So it should be calling from the morning, and good morning Vishal, how I can assist you today, my mood is amazing. So it is terminal based. Okay, so let's call exit, and it will exit our terminal based agent. So we can just also run a API based as well, but we will see more details about API based invocation in a later part of the sessions where we will deploy it as a production grade agent or a multi-agent system. Thing we discussed about .env file, where currently we are keeping the Vertex AI use as a false and we are using the API key. But as I mentioned, we can locally use Google application default credentials as well. Let's say I'll just remove this. Okay, I'll remove this API key and instead I'll make it true. Okay, and let's try to run. So it will throw an error initially. So let's open the web, so we will have the more clear error. Okay, so if I open and try to interact with agent, it will fail because it will not able to make a call to the LLM. Let's see if it is working. Yeah, it failed. Yeah, you can see the project location or API key must be set when using Vertex AI API. So now if I go back to the code, so here if I'm making it true, I have to mention the Google Cloud project. So let me just go to the documentation. Okay, and let's say I'll show you what things we need to mention. So there is a .env file. Yeah, so if you are using the Vertex AI, so you have to mention all these three things. Okay, so I'll just copy paste. So Vertex AI true I have mentioned, project ID I'll mention TT labs 01, and Google Cloud location I'll mention as a US Central 1, but it should use my application default credentials. So currently it is running on my local laptop, so it should use my application default credentials. So let me just open the new and let me just write gcloud auth application default login. So it will open a prompt for me and allow me to log in using a Google, and then going forward it will use my Gmail ID's credentials without using any key. So I'll just authenticate once and then I don't need to provide any keys because it will use my credentials with full access. Okay, so you can see the credentials are saved in my JSON file. And now if I try to interact with user, I have to just start again. You can use -- reload as well, so it will capture the changes, but I'm just doing one by one, so I'll just restarting. So there are two ways to authenticate, as I mentioned. If you go with this way and you are deploying on Cloud Run or Vertex AI Agent engine, it will use the service account credentials, but at local you don't need any API key because you can authenticate using your application default credentials. So both options are available, you can choose your own options. Okay, so let's go back and now let's try to interact. Hello, good morning. Okay, so it should not give an error this time, and it should go to the good morning function or good morning tool to get the response. Let's see if we get any error. No error as of now. Yeah, it went to morning function and this is getting response. Yeah, so we got the response. So hope this is clear now how we can use both the authentication method using API key as well as the Vertex AI. So that's it for this video, and we saw how to create our first agent and how to use a basic tools, custom tools or inbuilt tools. So we will see a more detailed video on using tools in our next session. So thank you for watching this video, and we will see more amazing videos on agent development kit and we'll try to create more complex agent, multi-agent systems, and try to deploy it and just make it production ready using a multiple features. So thank you, and we'll see you again in a next video.